For today's video, I am happy to say that some exclusive shots of John Frusciante's pedal board that I have had for a while now, I am allowed to share with you guys. Shout out to Steve Blake and Frank Grocholski. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name right. I'd been sent these shots and some other backstage shots of John's rig at the Jazz Festival. And I was kindly asked by my sources to not really discuss or share these images until they'd give me the green light to do so, and I've just been given it, so I'm making this video. We have some awesome shots of John Frusciante's pedal board that I want to go over. Pretty much point blank shots of his pedal board, and if you guys remember when I made the video talking about the biggest mystery around John Frusciante's pedal board being that there's actually two DS2s, well, this image that you guys are seeing on screen is how I had an absolute confirmation that he was using two DS2s, and that was his drive section for the board, especially with the Big Muff as well being an NYC version. You can clearly see here that it's this one, not a ram's head or anything like that. I'm going to start with the bottom row, right to left, then the top row, right to left again, just in physical order. Keep in mind that this is not the exact signal chain that John Frusciante is using. I'm just going over how things are placed ergonomically for him on the board. So the board starts off with the Moog low pass filter, and you can see here the orange switches on the Moog, meaning that it's not the ring mod, because that's the only other option. It could have been with the exact same knob layout, but it's not the ring mod. It is 100% the low pass filter that you can see. Then there is the Line 6 FM4 that did make its way from being placed just on the side of the board to now second on that first row, and it appears to be there's a barefoot button or something like that for John to step on just the far left switch with a bunch of green tape around it just to highlight, hey, this is the one you need to step on. And because it's the pedal he wants to stick with, he just has to go with it and just highlight that, hey, out of all the four switches, this is the one you need to press on to create that effect. They didn't want to downsize that effect or anything at all, staying true to his gear that he's always used. Moving on from the FM4, we then have two MXR reverbs. We know John sets one for a more shorter reverb, kind of like a room setting, and then a larger, more expansive reverb. That's what both of those two different reverbs are going to be set from MXR. Next, we have the Wilson modded Ibanez WH10 V3. I still really believe that John is using a vintage WH10 in the studio, but live, the Wilson modded WH10 V3 is a lot more durable, and he's not going to be going through these wah pedals a ton like he would if he was using just the very first editions that he was using in the past, consistently breaking them. This time he's got one that's super reliable, he can have a couple backups, and it's not going to be a point of concern during the tour. Alright, now we're moving on to the drive section of the pedal board, and it starts off with the MXR Super Badass Variac Fuzz, the new kind of staple addition to his board for the Unlimited Love era. We then move on to three Boss pedals. You have the Super Distortion, then you have two DS2s, and of course this is the shot where you could clearly tell that it's two DS2s that he was using, not an XT2 or anything else. After those DS2s, we have an MXR micro amp. Then we move on to the NYC Big Muff. Now, I'm not a Big Muff expert at all, you guys. This one looks to be a different one compared to the one he was using during the Stadium Arcadium era. It has those hockey puck knobs, and from the shot from afar, to me, it looks like you can make out an LED. So it looks to be a more modern version of the Big Muff, not an earlier 2000s version that he was using before. If you have any ideas or know or a really good guess of what exact Big Muff version this is, leave a comment down below, because I'm not an expert on all these different revisions and versions of the Big Muff. I'm still learning, and I would appreciate some further clarification or some insight from you guys down below. So let us know your thoughts on this Big Muff. So again, to round off the drive section, you have the Super Badass Variac Fuzz, the Super Distortion, two DS2s, the micro amp, and then an NYC Big Muff. This moves us on to the back row of the pedal board, and we start off with the Moog CP251 processor. This is what's going to be attached with the low pass filter, giving us that wobble effect from Danny California. You really need both of these to get that proper effect from that low pass filter. Next, we move on to a ton of MXR pedals. We have the MXR Dynacomp, followed by the Phase 90. Then we have the MXR Big Box Flanger. Then we have the Echoplex as well as the Carbon Copy Delay. After the carbon copy delay, we have the biggest staple of any John Frusciante rig, the Boss CE1, and I do believe that this is last in the chain. This is going to be the very last pedal that kind of splits everything out and you help get that stereo effect with the core sound. After that, we have the Digitech PDS 1002, which to me, I'm still kind of surprised that John is sticking with it. It's an older delay pedal, but he obviously likes the sound that he gets from that digital delay. And that rounds out John Frusciante's entire Unlimited Love pedalboard with some amazing shots up close so that we can really get some more finer details of his rig and just see a little bit more clearly what he's using. Massive shout out again to Frank and Steve for supplying these images. It was definitely difficult keeping these shots a secret from you guys, but it was awesome to have these sent to me to be able to kind of get some insight and then be prepared to release a video like this when I was given the green light to do so. So massive shout out to both of those guys again for taking and supplying those two pictures. Leave a comment down below, you guys, your thoughts on this rig, what you think of all the different pedals now that we have some clearer shots. If you have any different theories as to what John's using, even take a crack at the signal chain down below if you think there are certain things that might be placed near the end or the start, if the drive section is exactly as we see from right to left, or if it's maybe wired a bit differently. Leave a comment down below and I'd love to hear some discussion from you guys. Again, massive shout out to those two dudes for the images. These are fantastic and it's super great to have some awesome images. There are some other shots as well that I will discuss at a later date, but I wanted to tackle the pedal board first for you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for the support. I'll be updating you all with any more information, any more gear talk that John Frusciante has and things that change with the Unlimited Love Tour now that it's started, which is super exciting. Super exciting. And you guys, thank you again for the support. We'll see you on the next one.